video what we've just seen was the crowdfunding campaign video what we made 2 years ago when we started the project. So the first point I will develop about Cargonomia, that's our economic model. We decided to start this project without investing any money, without making any loan, because we didn't want to be taken in a trap that you have to always get back money and get money every month to make the system work. So we've been very creative since the beginning to start a large project, more involving partners, creating connection with people, and involving our own know-hows to organize the things. So we collected some money with that crowdfunding campaign, and this a large part of that money we never spent. It's something that we keep as a reserve to always have some reserve in order to have freedom. And our economic model is based on the way that we have only 5 people in the heart of the project. Nobody is paid by the project, but these 5 people are taking a risk together to rent a place together in Budapest. And it's only 400 euros per month, so it's not a lot of money. And all the rest, it's made by independently in a decentralized way by each partner. So as you could see in the video, we have a different type of partners. We have even more. The video is representing all our project. And what we try to do is to have a large diversity of activities, not to grow, but on the contrary, to always implement even more diversity. So from that perspective, it's quite a permaculture philosophy approach that we try to connect together different type of people to implement some synergies. And our economic model is quite stable because we have a diversity of small. If one of the partner is collapsing or is stopping or is doing something else and so on, the whole system is still working. So it's 5 people in the heart of the project. Each people is more or less representing one of the main partner or one of the main or several of the main projects that we are dealing with. And we are all involved on half on practical activities of Cargonomia and half on other type of activities connected to Cargonomia, like research project, educational project, organization of convivial event or larger event or different type of events in Cargonomia or in cooperation with Cargonomia. And also the second part of the project are working very well because we have the practical things as a showcase, as a lot of experience we can share. And the other part of the project is helping us to self-organize for all these 5 people in the heart of the project. Self-organize something like a basic income. That's the way I can pay myself and everybody can be paid. So we have, for example, we are involved in research project. We are paid as researcher and we can save some money and time to experiment alternative ways of life, which would be more sustainable and this type of thing. So it was very shortly our economic model with very low money, no loan, no risk, to be free, and also to be creative and more in focusing in connecting very large diversity of people, collective network and everything in order to have a type of resilience. The second point I would like to underline, which is connected to the first point, it's the name of Cargonomia. So it's a bit strange. So Cargonomia, cargo refers to cargo bikes because it's a cargo bike center as well. And nomia refers to the concept of autonomy, or autonomia, coming from Cornelius Castoriadis, who was a French-Greek philosopher of the last century and who was very influenced by Greek antique philosophy like Aristotle and everything, and was questioning what is democracy. And he developed with the concept of autonomy, and he said, for example, a democratic society is a society where every citizen, and he said it while quoting Aristotle, is a society where every citizen is able to be directed and to direct. Every citizen is involved individually, collectively, politically in the implementation of the rules, of the laws, of the limits, which are organizing the society. So behind Cargonomia, we are also involved with all these groups and interaction with different partners in discussion and in democratic experimenting processes to reappropriate the sense of the limit and to self-organize ourselves in deciding what do we produce, how, for what kind of use, to decide what kind of laws are meaningful for our group. And also we have a type of organization which is on one hand very flexible, are very light. Also, thanks to the first part I developed, as we don't have such a big investment of money in the beginning, it provides a lot of freedom because most of the projects are quite based on more the will of the people than a lot of money. So there is no conflict about how to manage the money and this type of thing. So how to collect enough money to survive, because we are quite protected from this type of things. But on the contrary, it's really based and driven by self-organization principle. When somebody has an idea, he proposes it to the group, and we see, based on the type of idea, who is interested in participating in it, and also how we can create different type of partnership with different type of partners and everything. So the second point I wanted to underline, it's about autonomy and how to reappropriate, experiment, other type of, to self-organize and self-develop or implement our own laws, and how to implement also how we appropriate the question of what do we produce, how, for what kind of use. Which is quite interesting, I think, in Cargonomia, that we question ourselves about work. We are in a model of society where there is a very large division of work. Usually you have a profession and you are specialized. And for example, me, I used to be an engineer. You are specialized only in one type of activities, and you don't really know what's happening around. You don't really know what the colleague or other people are really doing, and everybody is in own knowledge of know-hows and technique and this type of things. And what we try to do again with Cargonomia is not to grow, but to reappropriate know-hows, the understanding of what do we produce, how, for what kind of use, and so on. And going through, we try also to go out as much as possible of the division of work, and to reconnect the brain and the hands. So to have a better balance through different type of activities. As I said, I used to be an engineer. I am no more a researcher, but I am also involved in practical activities with Cargonomia, like to repair bikes, like to help at the farm, like to care about the logistic, about the box distribution and everything. And we try all to re-question that. And also on the contrary, with not only with the first circle of Cargonomia's partners and everything, but we try to bring different type of projects. For example, in the farm, we try to bring research projects involving the people who are working in the farm from the village and everything, or to involve, for example, the bike messenger into different type of activities, which could be more like cultural activities or organizational activities, not only to be on a bike and bicycle. So, and it's also connected with the idea of autonomia, to reappropriate a type of democracy. And democracy is going through as well the reappropriation of our know-hows, our technologies, our tools, and this type of thing. So from this perspective, we are very influenced by Ivan Illich thinking about tools for conviviality. And always when we have a project, we question whether it makes sense, and we question how to do it ourselves. Like, for example, we are not developing, it's one of the last projects we are developing, a cargo bike sharing system, community cargo bike sharing system in Budapest. And the platform what we are developing, of course, we do it ourselves, and open source. And we inherited something which was already developed by German collectives, and we are reappropriating it and developing it and everything. So everything we do, the main goal is to share the knowledge, the experience, and to do it open source, to invite people to reappropriate our experience if they think that it's meaningful. So to conclude and to connect Cargonomia with permaculture, or with the central thematic of this fantastic conference, and I forgot to say in the beginning that I'm very thankful to the organizers for inviting us to present our experience and so on. One of the last projects with cargo bike sharing system what we are implementing, it's urban agroforestery project in Budapest, because Cargonomia is a transition project based on degrowth, and degrowth is really a radical thinking, but radical in the meaning taking the problem from the roots, but it's not an extremist thinking. We are not extremists because we assume the fact that we start from this model of society. So we are based on transition, so we start from where we are, and step by step we start to deconstruct. We try to deconstruct the contradiction what we are facing. So type of contradiction we face, the farm what we show on the screen, on the video, is 40 kilometers far from Budapest, and we think that we could produce our food much closer. So we are back to urban food production, and we are now launching a new project about urban agroforestry. And it will start in the autumn. We have a PhD student who will be joining us, and she's just got a scholarship to work on this project. And she will join the team, and it will be one of the new pillars about Cargonomia, but there will be more under construction in the next year. Any question? I made just a short introduction to it. Some time and space for a discussion question, and I can go back to any of the points I very quickly spoke about.
Okay. Thank you, Vincent. Yeah, you joined late. You got some questions to ask? No? Okay, then I have a question. So you told that about research activity which you are doing. So could you tell more? And maybe I did not get it quite well. So you somehow connected it with the funding. Like, either you are funding this research activity or they are funding. So I just want to know more about that, because myself, I'm also a researcher, originally I'm a biologist, and it's interesting to know.
So usually we don't like to make applications ourselves. So we are not. Moreover, each time we did it, we spent a lot of time and we always lost. So we are very bad in making application or in participating in a large call. What we usually do is we get invitation from different research groups as consultants, or to share our experience and everything. And we can do it even collectively, or we can do it individually, because we are all more or less researchers in the core group of. Usually we do that when we are paid for working on a project, we take some money to pay ourselves, because sometimes we also need to pay our rent, or to pay some basic things that we need to survive. And we share a part of the money we collected to Cargonomia to invest in new other projects. And the model also, which is working very well already for one person among the 5, and for a 6th one who is about to join us, it's to make the PhD in Cargonomia and to get a scholarship while doing it. So the first PhD would join us like that. She's making her PhD in the University of Economics of Budapest, based on action research methodology, where we are all involved in action research, and somehow she can be part-time at the university and part-time working with us on Cargonomia's activity. So it's a way to provide like a basic income for people, involving them into our activities, and also working with them to reflect on what we do and share through academic network and conferences and this type of things, to share our experience, to make discussion going through.
Yeah, that's great. Very serious approach. And so regarding funding, so you told that you are using crowdfunding. Like, do you apply also for some grants, or never? Just
so we started with a crowdfunding campaign. As if we have to do it again, we will do it totally differently. The first advice, based on our experience, I would give that don't use one of the already existing platform, but create your own platform. It's much easier, because we didn't get anything from the platform, and we could have done it. Just we paid some percentage to the platform, and we could have done it ourselves. Also, it worked pretty well, because but mostly from our direct personal circle of friends or families and communities we were already working with. So don't try to make such a large communication and look for money from anywhere else in the world, but to really involve directly your partners and everything. But the main motivation when we made this crowdfunding campaign was not to get money. We said if we get money, we are happy, because we have some reserve to have some freedom. But it was more to use the crowdfunding campaign to communicate that we are launching a project. And from this perspective, the crowdfunding campaign was working very well. We had incredible records of likes on Facebook and on retweet and articles and this type of things, which was one of the main objectives, but it didn't help us to collect any money through that network. And in the beginning also, we tried, we had some time-to-time opportunities to make some application. So we also apply for Visegrad Fund projects and this type of things. And now we decided to stop, but maybe we will come back to it, because it turned out that it's very time consuming to make applications. If you get the money, it's also time consuming to make all the administration, the bureaucracy, and to justify how you spend this money and everything. And it was a big blockade for us. And we realized that instead of doing what is meaningful for us, we are doing paperwork, where this energy and this time could be used in being creative, in connecting to other people, and not to look for money, but to reappropriate ourselves. Ways to do the things with less money or without money and so on. I think we are very lucky, and we can do it because we are in Budapest, where it's a city when it's, we are quite well connected, and there are a lot of spaces what we can use for very low money or almost without any money, or only based on community supported projects. Like if we organize a conference, people pay a small money and it's enough to, or pay some beer and it's enough to have a place to do the things and this type of things. So now we don't want to make applications. And the other reason is also that we realize that each time we got money, it created conflicts, because you make a fantastic project with a lot of volunteer work, creativity. Everybody gets back a lot of things, not in money, but in experience, in human interaction, in self-esteem, in also in indirect, because we are really experimenting reciprocity economy. So indirect things like you help the farm, you get vegetable, you help at the bike shop, you get a bike, or you can repair your bike for free, use the tools and this type of things. And each time we had money, we realized that it's totally perverting of the things, that it's something which looks like very rational because it's based on figures and everything. And I speak about irrationality of rationality. And it's something which is totally making us blind, or transforming our perception of the things, creating some rivalry and conflicts. And the other point is that if you start to get a lot of money to finance your things, you need to have a strong, transparent administration, which is very challenging, because also we think that you can totally manage money very transparently and everything, but obviously all our administrative system make it very complicated. And it's a problem what I face not only in Hungary, but on a lot of other projects, which doesn't mean that we are cheating, but it means that you very rigid, and you cannot always use meaningfully a type of budget you get and everything for the type of things which are meaningful for your project. So you have to adapt your project to the administration, and somehow you transform the way, you kill the freedom to experiment new ways, to work together, to rethink. For example, we are working a lot, as I said, on reciprocity economy. It's very difficult with money, because with money you need papers for everything. And of course, when we have money, we do everything very transparently and officially, but we realize that without money, we are much more free.
You're lucky that you don't live in Ukraine. In Ukraine, it's 100% more complicated. Because I did also crowdfunding, and you told that it's you collected kind of money which gave you more freedom.
Yeah.
Does it mean that have like specific budget? So you collected money according to specific budget, or you just collected money?
So we made a crowdfunding campaign when we asked for 15,000 euros, and we collected a bit less than 3,000 euros. And with that money, we mostly spent it first in buying cargo bikes, what we self-constructed ourselves. So it was money what we put into our system too. And usually it's what we do when we get a project with money. We always say that this is money which will disappear and will be transformed into autonomy. Like when we get a budget, we try to use the money to support the partners who could buy, for example, a new tool, or who could buy who could invest in a workshop, and they will learn how to do this type of things and everything. So we like to transform money into autonomy or into freedom, and that's how it works. And the large part of that money, we somehow always keep it. That we have always several months of the rent in advance to be free to decide. Like, for example, if tomorrow we don't like anymore what we do and we want to experiment something else, we say, okay, let's stop everything and think for 3 months to see what else do we want to do. So that's how a bit how do we work. And And again, I think it's working pretty well because we really speak about very low amount of money compared to all the activities what we do, and the fact that we have so large and also a very large diversity of networks that we can do other things very easily without paying for what we do, but on the contrary, in cooperating with people.
Any questions? So, okay, then I continue with my question.
You're good.
Yeah, well, I have a lot of questions, but I just don't want to stop other people from asking. So your organization, it's kind of quite a big, let's say, a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so you already told about this concept of autonomy, which is kind of ideology, but I wonder, do you use any like model for organization of planning, like dragon dreaming or sociocracy, of conflicts in such a group?
So it's very interesting, as I said, because we have several circles. In the heart, it's mostly 5 people for the moment, where we have a large diversity of people, which creates a lot of conflict, because in this group we have people from different nationalities and different backgrounds and different approaches. We have 1 American, 2 Hungarian, 1 half Hungarian, half French, and 1 French. So already we have a lot of difference of perceptions of the things on several issues. And also we are not all driven by the same objectives. We have some social entrepreneurs, some pure academics, and some radical degrowth anarchists in the same group. And usually we try to transform the conflicts or the differences of perception of approaches and so on into something meaningful to reflect. Like, for example, when we get a project which will go more in the logic of the market, we do it parallelly on both sides, saying that can we do it without the logic of the market? And does it work like that? If yes, what are the benefits or the limits of it? And if we do it in the logic of the market, is it really meaningful, or what kind of challenges and our limits do we face? So we are always struggling with different approaches, but we try to use it because it's really, the main goal is really to experiment and question ourselves and reflect on the things and share all these ideas in order to transform the society. So the main goal is not to achieve large projects, but to experiment small projects in discussing about it. After a round, we have a type of organization, as I said, where each person is representing a project or a partner. And I will say that each partner or each project is quite independent from the central group. So it's really, from that perspective, totally decentralized, that everybody has their own budget, has their own objective, own problem, own conflict, where everybody there is also facing their own problems. But as we have this central group, we can also help each other. If there is a problem, for example, if one of the partners is facing some economic problem for a few months and whatsoever, he could come back to the central group and say, okay, here I'm facing this problem, could you help me? Help each other and this type of thing. So on the contrary, when one of the partners is like the social cooperative, the messenger company, is having a better month and is making more money than what they expect, they say, okay, for these 6 months, we had quite a good time. So I am happy to share the profit what we made in paying more for the rent, or in investing in a new project if you're interested in it, and this type of things. And it makes the decision-making chain quite easy. Centralize that everybody, and it's also based on autonomy principle, that everybody has its own space of autonomy, and also spaces to speak with each other when they start to go to a direction which could go against the interest or against the logic of the common group and so on. And so this is the second circle, when all together, I would say it's around 20, 30 or 40 people involved, always communicating or being every day together, but more in a decentralized way. And sometimes we could work time to time, this group is that group, or a small part of one group is a small part of another group, and everything. And after we have a third circle, which is more like the larger communities, where there it's very difficult to say if it's about hundreds of thousands of people. And it's very interesting. Just to finish on that, we organized in the framework of Ecological Economics Conference 1 month ago, and we were also a partner in the organization. And it was co-organized with one of partner, which is like a food co-op in Budapest. And when we arrived in the food co-op with the group, before going to a community garden where Cargonomia was organizing, bringing food and wine, was organizing some food and wine tasting on cargo bikes and so on. And when we arrived in the food co-op, there were a lot of pictures on the wall. Find all the people what we always cooperate with. So in the morning, I was by cargo bike at the organic market to collect some bread and vegetable from our partners to bring to this tour. And I saw the picture of the people we saw in the morning on the wall of that food co-op. And it's just an example to see that we have a type of model which is based on very low scale cooperation, but made on the level of human interaction, based on the level of trust and everything. And on that level, you don't need to have like a big general assembly to take decision together. You need a lot of discussion when you have some power games or conflicts and so on. But on the contrary, things are going much more based on organic. And it's something which could be strange, but what I like somehow that very often you have a project started from one of the person or one group of Cargonomia, and we just hear about it, and a large chain of partners or places and so or collectives in Budapest, and it's arriving back through another network to Cargonomia, to another part of Cargonomia, and it's also connected to a large network of alternatives what we have in Budapest, which are also working on small scale and more personal direct interaction.
So indeed, you don't have any leader.
Of course, we have. I mean,
like this central.
No, there is no central leader, but we have. I mean, among the 5 founding members of Cargonomia, I think we are all quite difficult, strong person with big ego. But as we have centralized type, the egos are more put down or mixed in a larger network and everything. But it's I think it's an important question, because I think we shouldn't deny the fact that we have leaders, in the meaning that people who time to time could have a vision and could have could bring some dynamics to a group and everything, but only under condition that there are strong counterpowers, that the leader is still the leader when he makes something which is meaningful for the communities or the people behind, and the leader is not the leader forever, but more depending on time to time from type of project or the motivation, and also that's why I speak more about open collective than really a formal group. And why being involved in degrowth for more than 10 years, I realized that the model of which is working the best for this type of degrowth or permaculture approach is this type of open collective. And open collective, it's like a group of people who organically meet, when sometimes you have one or several leaders and everything, for a common project or for common projects. And it's not something which is made to last forever. It's something which is made to keep evolving and to last as long as the project, what you want to do together, is meaningful for the people. And after, it can take another shape and go to another type of direction where the leader can change, where the central issues or goals can change to something else, and so on. And within Cargonomia, I often say that from one day to another one, it was a totally different shape. When one day you go to Cargonomia, you will see a group of children repairing bikes. On the following day, it could be a workshop on sociocracy, because you ask a question. On the next day, it could be that there was a storm in the farm and we have to repair the greenhouses. So a group of people goes to help at the farm, and you see each time different type of know-hows and also different type of people depending on the type of the project.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we have 2 minutes before that, so you don't have any questions. So okay, then maybe I ask the last question. That you mentioned that the farm is located 40 kilometers, yes, from the city. And so do you drive this 40 kilometers and how often?
So of course it's so the logic is that you have every Thursday there is a truck, a small truck coming from the farm to the city center of Budapest, and a large part of the vegetables are let in Cargonomia and after spread around by cargobikes, and we try to connect it with different types of products. We have also some olive oil from a cooperative in Greece. Every 6 months there is a truck coming from Greece bringing olive oil to Budapest. In Hungary we don't produce good olive oil yet. We will see with climate change. Maybe soon we will be able to do it, unfortunately. And so we have olive oil. We also have some biodynamic wine, for example. And we have bread. And usually it's really a small logistics center where things converge to Cargonomia, and after we can spread. Ideally, it's when we are able to make a bike, a huge bike full of different types of products going to the same district, to different type of shop, restaurant, or families, and to bring different type of products. But we are still far away from these scale, well-organized logistic things. And I would say it's not really the objective. I mean, it's what I said, that for us, it's much more like to accumulate type of experience, to have something concrete, what we do ourselves, to learn about how to do it together, and to reflect on that. But that we can do the things differently, and look, there are already a lot of very interesting initiatives and solutions which are working. And our main goal is not to feed Budapest or to develop it everywhere, but on the contrary, to stay small and relocalize always more in the district and connect more and more in the district, and to inspire more people to self-organize themselves everywhere and to do whatever they want, which are meaningful for them all around the city and all around the world.
Okay. Thank you, Vincent. I just want to show you your nice T-shirt because it was not seen in the camera. So this is a really very inspiring presentation, and for me as for public leader, so my dream is to do something interesting with interesting people and with supportive people. So as I understood that it's basically what you have in your project, and I wish you all the best, and we will learn from you. So thank you very much.
And I'm also learning a lot, so while being here, so thank you for inviting me.